It Chapter 2 was again directed by Andy Muschietti, returning from the first. Picking up 27 years after the first film, this one follows the same group of kids grown up, 27 years later, on a mission to kill it once and for all. And let me just say, the casting is pitch perfect for each grown-up character. Not only is it believable that that's what the kid could actually grow up to look like, but they carry a lot of the same baggage and traits with them into adulthood, and each actor portrays that phenomenally. James McAvoy was the standout from the group though. He was already a great actor, but this just bumps him up to a whole new tier. But all the other actors do an amazing job as well. Bill Skarsgård, I think, elevated it to be one of the great iconic horror movie villains with this film. Anytime he is on screen, attention is directed straight towards him. And while that is due to some CGI and just its role in the story, a lot of credit is due to Bill Skarsgård's inhuman-like performance of this character. One of my major issues from the first film was that it devoted an entire section of the movie to researching who it was and where he came from, to only produce the vaguest of answers to the audience. Upon a rewatch of that movie, I don't think I'd have those issues, because this film delivers with the answers. Not only does it give the background to it gives the background and it fits with the rest of the story, which was greatly appreciated. It didn't feel shoehorned in. And not that I would expect that from a Stephen King story, but I'm glad that the screenwriters didn't mess that part up. Scares are good. Like the first, it does not rely on jump scares. It relies on situational horror and gross visuals, which this film got very creative with. Even with all this great stuff, the film did not live up to the first. The first film had such a sense of adventure. The characters were so fun to see interact with each other. And it was so fresh. I didn't ever know what was going to happen next. I can't say the same for this movie. Almost the entire thing was predictable. It just plays beat for beat. At the beginning of the movie, all the characters are brought together to take down it once and for all. And the movie just follows that straightforward path there. And a movie with no twists or turns isn't necessarily a bad thing. But in this case, it was paced so poorly that it was. The first, and especially the second act, drag. To introduce each of the characters at the beginning of the movie, it would show what each of them is up to individually. And by the way, for some of the characters, it would show a flashback to their child self, which was helpful just to kind of like connect the dots. Oh, this is this character. But it didn't do that for all of them, and I wish it did, because I was left wondering for the first 30 minutes, like, who is this person? Like, which one is this? So that was distracting. So anyway, later in the movie, we see the characters split up again, and we see what each of them is doing individually. And in each case, Pennywise is messing with them, scaring them. So it's basically like 30 to 45-ish minutes of just scenes of each character getting scared in a different way, and it really got stale because it wasn't edited very well, and it brought down the pacing. The movie was longer than the first one, but it felt like half the content was squeezed into it. One final thing I had an issue with though, it included one of the most blatant virtue signaling scenes I've ever seen in a movie. It took me completely out, and thankfully it didn't take me that long to get back in. In the movie, Bill grows up to be a writer, and a running joke throughout the movie is that the endings of his books are terrible. Thankfully, I can say that this movie does not follow suit. The ending is the best part. The way in which they end up fighting it did not fit with the first one. It was much more negative, but all the story beats from the first are wrapped up, and I really do mean all of the story beats. Like, it was a very great ending. It was satisfying. The final battle with it was very entertaining. So this movie wraps things up. It was well written, it was well acted, and those aren't things that are typically associated with horror movies today. So it was nice to see that. And It Chapter 2 is my favorite horror movie of the year. I'm gonna have to give it a 6 out of 10. What did you guys think of It Chapter 2? Did it live up to the first? Let me know in the comments. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you for my next review.